Hey guys, my name is Ismail. Welcome to another Blender tutorial. This time we're going to be creating this floating island inspired by Fortnite's floating island. So this was a tutorial request by one of my subscribers, and yeah, this is me attempting to fulfill that. Obviously, this is not the entire thing. I don't know if I still have the video here. Player. So this is the island here we're trying to create, and you can see there are different, it's like the island exploded and the house broke into parts, and yeah, so there are a lot of things here, and so you obviously would see that I haven't done any texturing on this because the texturing is quite mammoth. It's quite a lot of work, and I'll do it because this is texture painting. You will also see in the video I did some texture painting, but I didn't finalize it. So this is going to be a two-part series, I guess. And as you can see, this is the island. So this is the island. You can see the houses there. Let's look at the model itself. You can see, and obviously the way I made this is that it's modular, so you can make these, duplicate this, and you make it a 3-story building like that, then just bring the roof up. Let's just keep it to 2. And I also added these broken ceiling and floors. Maybe an impact crater just went through this roof and hit. That's what broke up the island. Yeah, so let's continue with the tutorial. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is find some reference images to use, and for this I went into Fortnite and I screen recorded the gameplay, and in the replay I flew around the island to get some good shots that I could use as reference images, and I used a painter to paste a screenshot of my screen while I'm playing back that footage to get a reference image. And so you always want to have something to look at while you're modeling, because when you're modeling you want to do, it's more that you want to focus more on the modeling part rather than trying to be creative in this area. You want to, I don't know if that makes sense, but you want to, so what I did there is created a mesh and then went to edit mode, deleted all the vertices but one, and then extruded that with E into that outline of the island, and then filled that island with a single face using F, and yeah, so now I'm connecting those parts using J. So connecting one vertex, I select one vertex and another, and then hit J on the keyboard to connect them, and now I'm extruding the island, just selecting the outer ring and then extruding them. So what I was saying is that when it comes to modeling, you want to focus mostly on the modeling rather than the creative part of your whatever you're creating. So I don't know if that makes sense, but if you're modeling, there's a lot of thinking required. So if you're going to be using some of that energy into the creative part of getting the design of your whatever you're doing, it's going to be a bit harder. So the creative part should be done when you're trying to make should be done when you're sketching out your idea. So you always need to sketch out your idea first. If you're going to use a real life object, if you're going to model something that is from real life, you can always find reference images directly from the internet, rather than trying to model while figuring out what you're trying to model. It is going to take a lot of time. So yeah, I'm just extruding a few parts here so that I can get the design of the rock or the island. And it ended up looking like a ship, which was not my intention, but I think it looked cool either way. So obviously this is Blender 2.8, and I wouldn't advise you to use Blender 2.8 as of now, because we are in October, is it? I'm not sure. I think we're in October, and they haven't released a stable version of it. So until they release a stable version, and you want to work on a project that that will be worked on with different people, I wouldn't advise you to use Blender 2.8 right now, because it crashes and sometimes the projects get corrupted. So now I'm creating this rock that supports the building, and the way I did that is first I drew out the loops that would make the shape of that rock, and then extruded them. So I drew them using the knife tool, which uses the shortcut K, and then extruded that part up like that. And now I'm trying to change it a bit so that it looks more like a rock than just something protruding out of the island. Again, you see, that's how you draw the profile of the rock and then extrude it out like that. And so we have that. So this part here and the next few parts we're going to be making are quite repetitive. It's the same thing but changing a bit. Scaling and extruding is what I'm doing for the most part. So I'm not going to talk a lot here. I'll just first of all, I will just continue talking when we start working on something different. Okay, so now that we have the island done, let's look at making the house itself. So I need to get a screenshot again. Drop it there, and yeah, let's make the house. So I start with the floor or the base of the house, and then I want to add these extra rooms that you see that are like pentagon structures on the side. I don't know if that's a pentagon or a hexagon, but I just add that and then extrude it. Now I'm cutting out areas for the doors, sorry, for the windows. And what you see me doing there is I add a loop using the shortcut Ctrl R, and then select that loop, then use the shortcut Ctrl B to bevel that loop. And now I just need to extrude this in to have that. And now we can do the frame of the window that is going to sit in that window hole or whatever. So we're just extruding the window and giving it a nice profile. So just add a loop and then extrude that to give it a nice detailed profile for the window. We have our window. I won't be adding glasses here because even the reference image doesn't have any glass windows in it. And if the island is far away enough from the camera when you're rendering, it won't show that you don't have any glass windows in the windows, and it will also speed up your render times. So I'm just adding very small details in here that would make our model look even better. I just need to align the windows to the frames. And the options you saw me finding there are just getting the gizmo or those arrow orientation to match the orientation of the normals, so that we can slide them following the direction of our window frames. It's that option you see at the top there. Again, we're doing it here, so you can see we can just pull those arrows following the direction of the vertices. Here I'm just duplicating. I think I used Alt D to duplicate this, so that we have an instance of that model instead of just having a copy. And this reduces the render times, and also when you make any edits to the original object, they will be updated in the duplicate you have, rather than using the shortcut Shift D, which just makes a copy of your selection instead of an instance. Just need to extrude the walls. Just adding a few details here and there. I'm also using Alt D to duplicate that, so that you can see there when I edited the bottom part, the top part was also updated. So you can see making a duplicate there. Now let's make the roof. That is quite simple as long as you grasp the concept of how to do it, which I'll show you in a moment here. So I'm just adding loops and cuts where those peaks are going to be, and then selecting those peaks and then dragging them up. So anything left behind will make that look like a roof. You just make cutouts for the peaks where they're going to be and extrude those. Now we have that. And we do need to make a roof for that, for those window rooms, so which are very simple, using the same shape that we used to create them, extruding up and then scaling inside. And because it's the same shape as it uses the same roof as the other side, we just need to create one and then duplicate it as an instance, so that it works for the other side as well. So we just need to duplicate this Alt D and then drop it to the other side, and we have our first building like that. So to remove that intersecting, I just selected the roof and then dragged it up a bit so that it doesn't get in the way of these small roofs. So here I'm just going back to look at the island, just to see how it's structured. I think I changed the roof a bit because it wasn't matching the reference image, as you can see here. This side doesn't have that protruding part, so I'm removing it. And we have that. Yeah, I think this side also was something like this, so okay, so I need to cut out that area where the asteroid made impact. So that part is gone. So I'm just adding a solidify modifier to give it some kind of thickness and cleaning up the mesh a bit. So to give even thickness to the walls, I had to separate the walls from the window frames, from the windows, so that the solidify modifier calculates, makes its calculations easier than if the wall was still part of the other window object. And you can see we still have some artifacts So what I did, because of the extrusion you see there that I have, so I need to, so what I did is separate that bottom frame. You will see that in a minute what I'm talking about. So I went in edit mode and then deleted that so that there are two separate objects like that. And now if I add the solidify modifier, it makes that it gives that thickness, it gives a more cleaner thickness than what we had before. So see that extrusion as well, it's also causing some problems, so I delete that so that we have two objects, separate planes like that we can add a solidify modifier on. So yes, now it's time to create those flows. And don't forget those extra small rooms. So what I first did was use extrusion to give that floor thickness, but I realized that it would be extra work when it comes to cutting out that area of impact. So I used a solidify modifier, which makes it easier because I only have to deal with one level of plane instead of I only have to deal with one face instead of dealing with more than one. So I make one cut and you can see it's cut throughout the mesh. It cuts through the mesh because I'm using a solidify modifier instead of extrusion. Okay, so now I think I'm adding those as dividing walls. So what I did is just duplicate one of the wall vertices and one of the wall edges and then extrude it to match the wall subdivisions. And I think this side is going out too much, so I had to push it back in, push those vertices back in so that they match the walls without protruding out. So I wanted the top one to be a bit different, so I went in and did a few edits there. And also made a cut, so the asteroid maybe also went through there. So at this moment I realized that the walls were not dividing the room evenly like in the reference image, so I moved them in the middle like there. I wanted to add a door, but I thought that was a lot of detail and it would also require me to model the door, which I was not up to. I was getting a bit tired, so just added a ceiling, then a creator, or sorry, an asteroid impact there, and I think the room was done. And now I'm just adding support. I'm creating support beams for the house. What you saw me doing there was add a bevel modifier to give it those soft edges, which gives it, which makes it look like it has more resolution than it does. I didn't want the support beam to be just one flat, just a very straight beam. That's why I deformed it a bit, just to give it a little bit of detail. I also wanted this to be modular, so I created one piece, duplicated it so that I could use it as an instance. You'll see me do it there. you can just duplicate that to get the shape we want. So I also want these to show, that's why I'm pulling back the rock a bit so that we are able to see those support beams. See how you can easily add details to your rock using the knife tool. I think now we can do some texture painting for the rock. So the way you do it, in 2.8 is a bit more easier than 2.7, 2.79. You just go to the texture paint tab at the top there. You should see the options there, and you add a material and create a new. In the UV image editor, you can add a new image and feed that to the image texture node of any shader you're using, and it should be seen by Blender. So what I wanted to do is first bake some ambient occlusion for the rock, so that I can see, so that I get that free detail there. But the problem is that it replaced the base color that I had. So I went in and started painting over that ambient occlusion. I tried to look for a setting that would allow me to pre-multiply, or I wanted to find a blending mode that would let me paint over the texture without removing those ambient occlusion details that we had, but I couldn't find the blending modes for the brushes. So I just went on and painted everything back and decided to paint my own ambient occlusion. So what I did is first gave everything a brown color, and come back later and start painting in a few details. This is also quite a large island, so if you want to make it look really good, you would have to spend a lot of time adding a few details here and there that I didn't really have time for. So I tried to be detailed, but not too much detailed, but not give it too much details. So here I'm just painting, giving those edges a brighter paint to make them stand out, just to give it a rock texture effect. And I'm also painting some dark parts there to fake ambient occlusion. I was trying to look for the smooth shading, and I think I found it there. So you find it in the object settings of the mesh, instead of just hitting N on your keyboard to find it on the left panel. And now it's under object mode, and you should find shading there. So I don't need to explain every step I did here, but you can just look at, because I was just switching between the same steps over and over to achieve that rock texture. So where I wanted to paint highlights, I just changed to a different blush color with a higher light value, and then painted out those edges. And then when I wanted to paint out dark areas, I also did the same, but the inverse, just using a different color but dark values. You can see, yeah. So, and by the way, if you want to download the model, maybe not this one exactly, but any of the models that I have here on my channel, you can always find a link in the description. I guess I'll also leave a link to my CG Trader account, where you can find the final rendered images for these or any other models that I have worked on, and you can also get the models directly there. If anyone is interested in any of my models also, and they don't want to use CG Trader, you can also contact me via the comments. And yeah, but for now, let me let you watch the time lapse of the rock painting, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Also, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you again.